Hello everybody and welcome to this The Rapple tier list. Today we will be doing the human soldier upgrade tier list where basically every upgrade that affects human soldiers will be placed on S, A, B and C tier. So let's get started real quick. Starting with AG Shield, I would probably put that on B tier. It's like a little bit of a stronger copper shield. It's not a bad upgrade. It's a pretty good upgrade. But compared to everything else, I think it deserves to be on B tier. Moving on, we get Sarissa. We all know how strong hoplites are, and upgrading hoplites with these two upgrades actually make them the strongest hoplites in the game. And I really believe Sarissa is a very good upgrade because, especially for late game, because the game pathing sometimes is not the best, and Sarissa helps a lot because it actually helps hoplites, the one attacking behind the other, with the extra range, which kinda fixes pathing for hoplites, and it's extremely strong to attack buildings and for the late game and to fix pathing for the Greek army. So, in my opinion, Sarissa deserves to be S tier. Later on, we have Spirited Charge faster cavalry and greater attack. We don't always see Greek training cavalry. Usually Poseidon is the only case where we would see cavalry. So I think this upgrade deserves to be on B tier, first on B tier for now. It had potential to be on A tier. It also works on centers, but we don't really see too many centers and too many Hippeus, as for Greeks the unit of choice is usually hoplites and then archers. If cavalry were used more for Hades and not Hades actually, but at least for Zeus, then I believe Spirited Charge could have been on A tier easily, but we don't often see them, so yeah, it would be on B. Then we have the Apollo upgrade, if I recall correctly, it's called the Sunray, yes, and I think Sunray deserves to be on A tier, not first, but somewhere here on the A tier, as reveals pretty much the UI of units that are being attacked from arrows. So you basically get vision, something like what Uranus does, and you also get more damage for your archers, plus 10%. As well as maybe it is mentioned on that upgrade that it also gets extra flying damage at plus 10%. Not sure exactly how that works, but it's also even more damage for your archers. Then we have Dionysia, a plus 5% hit points for all of your units, including villagers, including titans, everything basically. We don't often see Dionysus though. This upgrade would have easily been on S tier, but I think I'm going to put it in front of Sunray on A tier. Then we have Thracian horses. This upgrade, in my opinion, is stronger than Spirited Charge, but yet again, we don't see cavalry too often when playing Greek. It's only Poseidon, the god that will produce cavalry, but because it's stronger than Spirited Charge, and basically your Hippeus and your cavalry regenerate when they have that upgrade, which is amazing. They get 30% of damage dealt back, so it's like a lifesteal. And since it's available at the Heroic Age, it's a Heroic Age upgrade, I think it deserves to be on A tier, a little bit more on the right though. Then we have Forge of Olympus. This upgrade makes way cheaper all of your armory upgrades, including the unique tech in the armory, and it trains in 5 seconds, so 100% Forge of Olympus deserves to be on S tier, maybe in front of Sarissa. We usually see Hera or Artemis when playing Greeks, but if somebody once in a while picks Hephaestus, this upgrade is an S tier one, way cheaper armory upgrades, it trains in 5 seconds, it's a must grab tech basically. Then we have the Ares special upgrades like Phobos Spear of Panic, stronger hoplites and prodromos +1 divine damage, extremely useful. Surely has to be on A tier. I wish people were using more this upgrade, but unfortunately Athena is just a stronger version of Ares right now. So we don't really see the Ares being used too often. Enios, Arrow of Horror, I think that's how it's called. Enios Bow of Horror, yes, it's this one. With the archers basically inflicting more damage and the arrow speed being 15% faster, I think, around there. Yes, this upgrade is also amazing, and we would usually see that being used when playing Hades, because Hades already has better archers overall. So you basically grab that too, then you age up through Apollo, you get Sunray as well, and then pretty much it helps. So I think I'll put it on B tier just because we don't see it too often and Poseidon isn't really benefited too much out of it. So I think it has to be on B tier. There is another upgrade called Demon's Sword of Dread, and it's again available only to Ares. I think this upgrade again has to be on B tier. It enables hyperspists at the classical age, and it gives another 15% damage to them. So I wish it was used more often as well as the other Ares unique tech. And I think hyperspists in the classical age, I mean, it could be useful, but classical age is usually mostly about cavalry, and every civ has a counter to axemen in the classical age. Uh, maybe it can be used against the Egyptian classical fight, but Greeks will struggle in classical fight against the Egyptians when it comes to a myth unit spam. So I'm not quite sure how well this upgrade would do against Egyptians in the classical age. Maybe it would be great actually, but then it comes down to countering myth units, which is a different story. All right, moving on. We have Shafts of Plague. This upgrade currently is one of the best upgrades in the game. Will be for now first on S tier. All of your range units doing divine damage, including Peltasts and Gastrafetoros when you play Hades. It surely has to be on S tier. It's a good counter to things like Nidhogg or Son of Osiris, since you need range units to be able to kill those things, and it does divine damage over time, like poisoning those units. Extremely useful, extremely strong. I highly recommend. The next upgrade on the list is through Ptah, aging up through Ptah, you get access to Scallop Tax. It's a very decent upgrade for your Axemen, a plus 15% damage to your Axemen. So if you wanna counter infantry, if you wanna play the Axemen, this upgrade will help you quite a lot, to be honest. And I think this upgrade deserves to be on A tier, because you will most probably see Axemen be used when playing Ra or Set, especially Set that loves classical fighting. That's another like upgrade that you have to grab if you play the classical fight, so I think it has to be on A tier. Moving on, we have the Leather Frame Shield, Spearman plus 15% pierce armor, so it makes less vulnerable your spearman against archers, I mean. And then again, it has to be somewhere on A tier as well. It's a classical fighting upgrade. Has to be grabbed if you're playing against Greeks or against Egyptians actually, if somebody's training chariot archers. And yeah, same as Electron Bullets. So Electron Bullets was nerfed in the latest patches. Used to be, if it was 2 patches ago, I would put it on S tier because it was doing one whole divine damage. It was adding one whole divine damage to your slingers. But now I think it deserves to be in between Scallop Tax and Leather Frame Shield. because now it does half divine damage. In the latest patches, it was doing a whole 1 divine damage. Basically boosts your slinger's damage overall. Next upgrade on the list as well is the, if we have a look over the this Sobek for Egyptians, you get access to Dark Water, Caravans plus 10% hit points, Camel Riders plus 10% hit points, and they regenerate with a rate of 0.5. I think Dark Water is a very good upgrade. It has to be just after Threshing Horses. It basically regenerates every 2 seconds. You get 1 hit point for your Camel Riders and your trade caravans. You mainly grab it for your Camel Riders. And I think it deserves to be around here, right next to Threshing Horses as well. Bonebow. Extra range for your Chariot Archers. So Chariot Archers already have a great range and already have a great DPS. And it has been proven that high level players using Bonebow can basically kill nearly every type of unit, trying to outrange the enemy units with that, kiting and playing the hit and run. This upgrade has to be S tier. Not the first in the list, but surely around S tier on the right side. Slings of the Sun. Slingers basically counter infantry soldiers. Pretty good upgrade. If you wanna train something more than just Axemen to beat infantry or to kill Hippaspists, Slings of the Sun is your option. Very good upgrade. Has to be at least first on A tier for now. Edging up through Osiris, we get access to Desert Wind, Camel Riders plus 20% hit points, plus 20% speed, and I think as well as plus 20%, let me have a look, plus 20% damage to hack damage. So that's amazing. This is surely an S tier upgrade and has to be there next to Shafts of Plague. Moving on, we have Axe of Vengeance, an amazing upgrade. Surely has to be after Forge of Olympus. What it basically does, it modifies the Axemen damage for Egyptians every time they lose hit points. So if you make a test in the editor, if you put one Axemen with this upgrade against one hoplite, if the Axemen reaches 1 hit point, if it's as low as 1 hit point, it's going to do around 70 damage against a hoplite, which is insane. So imagine having 20 Axemen with this upgrade. And not only those Axemen do extra damage when losing hit points, but this upgrade also boosts the Axemen attack against buildings. So then they become like a counter hoplite that also has bonus damage against buildings. Extremely strong, must grab technology when you age up through Horus, and it deserves to be right after Forge of Olympus. Spear of Horus. This is surely an S tier upgrade, probably after Bonebow, because with Bonebow you can hit and run, you can kite. Horus of Spear is an upgrade to do extra damage when reaching your units, if that makes sense. So Spearmen get extra damage against cavalry with that upgrade, as well as plus 10% damage for your Spearmen. So it only boosts your Spearmen. Then again, if you play with Horus, you're looking to play the Infantry War. So this is another must grab tech. It's on S tier. Greatest of 50. This should be in front of Spear of Horus for sure, also on S tier. Plus 30% hit points for all of your infantry soldiers. That's actually crazy. It's actually crazy, and you can combine that. You can combine that with Axe of Vengeance. You can build a ton of Axemen, upgrade Axe of Vengeance, and then upgrade Greatest of 50 as well, and your Axemen will also get plus 30% hit points and another 10% speed. Then again, the next upgrade on the list is is from Anubis. It's called the Serpent Spear. Spearmen do divine damage over time, something like Shafts of Plague, poisoning enemy units pretty much. And I think this upgrade deserves to be around A tier, maybe after Dark Water. Yes, that would make sense. So it's a classical age fighting upgrade that if you're looking to classical fight with Anubis, or if you're gonna play the late game with Anubis, this upgrade will help you on the long term. I suggest it. It's obviously not as strong as Greatest of 50 and Horus and Spear of Horus, but surely an upgrade, a technology you want to grab. Task of a Pandemic, stronger elephants, cheaper elephants, one less population elephants. I think it's insanely strong, but since we don't really see elephants too often, the war elephants, I think I'm going to put it on A tier after Slings of the Sun, maybe, yes, after Slings of the Sun. I think that would make sense. If we saw war elephants more often, if we saw high level players using this way more, I would probably put it on S tier, but players usually when playing Thoth prefer to go for the fast, for the mobile army, which is either Chariot Archer or Camel Rider spam. Then we have Thundering Hooves, a very good upgrade for classical age raiding, as well as late game raiding actually, very good for Norse. Surely has to be on A tier, and I think let's put it right after Dark Water, since we're talking about cavalry. So you can basically even do good raids at the late game using this upgrade, and it also gives extra hit points for your cavalry units when you play Norse. And since cavalry costs 2 population, the raiding cavalry costs 2 population for Norse, this upgrade is as well strong at fighting for the late game. It also works on Valkyries, by the way, so I think it's a good place to locate it. Then we have Hall of Thanes for Norse, infantry extra speed, and for your Hersers, heroes as well. I think Hall of Thanes, I really like that upgrade, but I think it has to be after Spirited Charge, honestly. Because it's not a bad upgrade, but it's not an upgrade that boosts hit points or attack. It doesn't boost anything of that, it only gives speed. So an upgrade that only gives speed, I think has to be a B tier upgrade. At least Spirited Charge and the Norse upgrade that I just forgot how it's called. at least these two upgrades here give you a speed and hit points, and this one Spirited Charge also gives attack. Dwarven Breastplate, I will 100% put that on S tier after this type of upgrades, because it's also another late game upgrade, a mid game to late game upgrade. Berserks and Herdmen getting plus 20% hack armor is actually amazing in combination of the next upgrades we are going to be talking. Berserk is a late game unit for Norse, maybe not as much for Odin, so if you can manage to get this upgrade with the rest, Berserk is by far the best unit in the late game, so I'm gonna put this upgrade on S tier. It's extremely useful, especially early and in the mid game, when your Berserks already have plus 20% hack armor. That's like twice a copper mail, I think, if I'm not mistaken. If you have a look over a copper mail upgrade in the armory, yes, a copper mail gives plus 10% hack armor. So you get 2 copper mails basically for free when you upgrade Dwarven Breastplate. And if you're Thor, you get a door for free, right? So pretty strong. Moving on, we have Hunter's Axe. Honestly, I'm gonna rate this upgrade very low just because of ballistics. Since you can grab ballistics for your buildings, for your throwing axemen, maybe for your ballista, why would you grab Hunter's Axe for your throwing axemen? It's also favor expensive, and sometimes it's harder to generate favor as Norse. So I think Hunter's Axe has to be on B tier, honestly. It's not a bad upgrade, but it's not like a game changer when you can just grab ballistics that is way useful later on. Yeah, so, and because of the favor cost, I think it has to be on B tier. Then we have Call of Valhalla. Berserk's extra damage, and Berserks get, for each Berserk dying, you get +1 favor. Surely has to be on A tier. I think I'm going to put it in front of Sunray. Very useful upgrade, a way of you to get a lot of favor when playing Norse. In combination with Dwarven Breastplate and the rest of the Berserk upgrades, you grab Call of Valhalla. Pretty strong, especially for late game. You can recast God powers using this. I think this upgrade deserves to be even higher actually. Let's put it here. Yes, this should be better. Swine Array works only for Herdmen when playing Norse. Plus 20%, I think. Let me have a look. 20% extra damage for your Herdmen against Cavalry. And yes, plus 10% overall damage Herdmen. Just for Herdmen, plus 10%. And it adds a 2.0 attack damage bonus against Cavalry. So extra damage against Cavalry. I think this upgrade, if this upgrade worked on Berserks, it would be by far in front, around on S tier. But it doesn't work on Berserks, it only works for Herdmen. So I think I'm going to put this upgrade on A tier, just after Sunray. Since it counters Cavalry, it deserves to be in front of the Cavalry upgrades. But then again, I don't have high hopes for this upgrade. We don't see it as often either. Sons of Sleipnir. I would 100% put this upgrade on S tier. You might think I'm crazy, but since it has been nerfed from the Legacy game, and since archers are so strong on Retold, I think I'm just gonna put Sons of Sleipnir on A tier, first on A tier. And it's actually interesting because this upgrade is insane. With this upgrade you demolish any type of an archer deathball. But here's the issue. If it comes to late game where walls are built, there are towers around, things like that, and the opponent is full of infantry, like against Athenian hoplites for example, or Horus spearmen, or those berserks over here with these upgrades, then Sons of Sleipnir isn't as useful anymore. And because of the choke points, because of ballistics, and 3 town centers full population army, like you can one-shot cavalry using archers. So for me, I would personally use more fire giants to kill an archer deathball, because fire giants have like they're range units. I would use range units to kill range units. So then again, if this was the old age of mythology, this could have been first on S tier, but since this is retold, it's nerfed, and again, it's harder to get on top of the archers, on top of an archer deathball. It's better to use range units. I think I'll put it on A tier. I have used this upgrade myself a couple of times. It wasn't as useful as I expected, but it's still pretty strong and deserves to be on A tier. Bravery, will surely put that on A tier, on S tier, right after the Spearman upgrades. Bravery is insane, people don't understand how strong it is. Your Huskarls get around a plus 20% damage. It's a lot, 20% is a lot, especially for late game. And they do bonus damage against buildings. Pretty strong, you can use Huskarls as a siege unit. Huskarls also have high pierce armor. Huskarls are also fast units with a speed of 5. And if you actually have Hall of Thanes, this upgrade over here, I believe, this one here, then you can do some amazing Huskarl raids, building raids. I highly suggest, this is such a strong upgrade to get, and I think it has been buffed since the old game, so I really like that. Berserker Gang, way stronger Berserks, and your Berserks with this upgrade also regenerate, they lifesteal 35% of damage done to enemy units basically. So your Berserks become insane, and I think this upgrade has to be just in front of Bravery with Dwarven Breastplate. Ringgiver, this upgrade will also go in front of Slings of the Sun. We don't often see too many Jarls, and Jarls don't hard counter myth units as they used to. But the plus 25% hit points for Jarls is pretty good. I highly recommend. But it's not as strong as the rest of the upgrades on top over here. Volcanic Forge, that's also an A tier upgrade for your human soldiers when playing Atlanteans. Not too strong, nothing too special about it. Can be actually around, deserves to be, yes, right after Dark Water. I think that's way more balanced. Moving on, we again have Norse upgrades. The Njord upgrade called Vikings. So, talking about 1v1 games, Vikings is not really on S tier, but if it's about team games, Vikings deserves to be on S tier. But since we're talking mainly about 1v1 games, I think it deserves to be right after Ringgiver, because with Vikings you basically get gold bounty when Raiding Cavalry kill enemy units. So you get free gold every time Raiding Cavalry do damage to something. So it's an economy, a more like economy upgrade. It doesn't really give extra damage, it doesn't really give anything too special, but it's free gold. So why not grab it? If you're playing with Raiding Cavalry and you don't switch to Jarls, you 100% need to grab this. Then we have a Freyr upgrade over there for your infantry to get extra speed. We have Servants of Glory. I will honestly put this upgrade on C tier. One of the worst upgrades in the game. I don't really like this upgrade. As well as Hamask. This is a unique Odin upgrade. I wish Hamask was as strong as Dwarven Breastplate, but apparently it's not. But Hamask actually just makes your Berserks attack faster and have more speed when they lose hit points. If when they were healed up, if those Berserks were actually keeping the attack, the attack rate as well as the attack rate as well as the speed when they're regenerated, when they're healed, then this upgrade would be S tier. But every time, especially when you play Odin, your units regenerate. But every time you regenerate, every time those Berserks get their hit points back, they lose their attack. They lose their attack and they lose their speed too. So that's why I think it's one of the worst upgrades right now, one of the worst unique tech in the game right now, and I think it has to be on C tier for now. Lance of Stone, surely A tier, for your Contarius to make more damage against enemy units as well as slowing them down. It surely has to be in front of the classical age. Yes, just right after Thracian horses would make sense. Let's do Freyr's Gift now. Plus 10% for all of your units. It's like a double Dionysia. Dionysia is placed on A tier around here. This is 100% an S tier upgrade and has to be right after Bravery, or actually in front of Bravery. An insane upgrade for late game, 10% extra hit points for all of your units, including the Titan. Surely has to be located on S tier. It's also way cheaper for Freyr to grab upgrades, so this has to be over there. Bite of the Shark, A tier, just right after Slings of the Sun in my opinion. This also works on Fanatics, so it's pretty useful for late game too. Orichalcul Mail, this is also placed on A tier. Archers, better hack vulnerability, so they have basically higher hack armor. And I would probably put this, yes, in front of Volcanic Forge, because they're very similar. Poseidon's Secret, 100%, this is 100% a S tier upgrade, right in front of Bravery will be located, because cheaper Contarius, faster Contarius, Contarius is already an amazing unit, surely deserves to be on S tier. We have Titan's Shield as well for Atlanteans. This upgrade will go, I would probably put this upgrade on S tier, but I think I prefer to put it right after Sons of Sleipnir, because we don't see too many destroyers at late game, and destroyers get hard countered by anti-infantry units. So this upgrade gives a plus 15% pierce armor to your destroyers. But then again, if destroyers were like a strong unit if they had stronger hack armor, which they don't, then I'd probably put that on S tier, but I think it deserves to be in the first upgrade with Sons of Sleipnir on the A tier. Frontline heroics, this can be right after Spirited Charge, heroizing units for cheaper, just infantry units, so I think it has to be on B tier. And then we have Ice in the Forest, grants you more vision for your units, you wanna play Loki, has to be on C tier, it doesn't give like any damage, any hit points, nothing of that. Lord of Horses will be located last on B tier probably. Hippeus regenerate, cavalry regenerate in general actually, only works for Poseidon, and you will most likely switch to a different type of unit when playing Poseidon later on, like hoplites. So I think it's only useful early on, so has to be on B tier. And then again we have Devotees of Atlas, extremely cheap upgrade, has to be right after Axe of Vengeance, because Axemen counter those fanatics, but this upgrade is so cheap, the Devotees of Atlas, and they do so much damage, is very similar to what the Axe of Vengeance gives, and if you can manage to get full population at late game with those fanatics and heroize them, they're insane with this upgrade, they're just insane, so surely has to be on S tier. Weightless Mace, probably useful at the classical fight, so I think it deserves to be around here on A tier. Catapults get more damage and more speed, they hard counter cavalry pretty much, and I think it's extremely useful to grab for a classical fight. Then at last we have those 3 Freyr upgrades, the last upgrades, and we have Twilight of the Gods, human soldiers plus 10% hit points, and they do a plus 0.20 damage against heroes. So I think this upgrade has to be around S tier, probably after Bravery, because it's plus 10% hit points for all of your units, human units basically. So if you combine that upgrade with Freyr's Gift, that's already 20% more hit points for your human soldiers, which is crazy. So surely has to be on S tier. And then the 2 last upgrades we have the Silent Resolve, Berserks, when pretty much your Berserks gather strength when they're idle, slowly increasing their damage when they're still. I think this upgrade will go over A tier. If you play around it very smartly, it can be S tier, but I think late game is not really patient, like you have to constantly take fights to defend a trade route, to defend your resources, defend your buildings, secure the middle. So in a passive game, when you can leave your Berserks idle, this upgrade can be very good. But that's not the case for Age of Mythology late game. So I think it has to be around here on A tier. And the last upgrade we have is the Fury of the Fallen. Every time a nearby unit dies to your Berserks, then all of your Berserks gain 15% damage. This is by far one of the best upgrades in the game. I think I'll put it around here, right after Devotees of Atlas. So if you lose, for example, let's say you have 20 Berserks in your army, and one random unit, either a Throwing Axeman or a Huskarl dies, all of those Berserks around that unit will gain 15% more damage. Crazy for a late game. Thor and Freyr Berserks are the best Berserks in the game, one of the best infantry units, which is insanely strong, and I highly recommend all of those upgrades there. You have to always grab them every time you age up, every time you get access to them. So, this was the tier list for today. Let me know if you guys enjoy this type of videos, you can always make more of them, and let me know in the comments your opinion. What do you think about this list? What do you think about these upgrades? I'm really open to discussions, and I really want to thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.